Hello, NSL world. Yours truly, GM Camilo, coming at you again live from the underground Klemm secret basement studio for episode 2, the long-awaited. I know you've all been frothing at the mouth for it, but episode 2 of Klemm and Cornhill. We're keeping it Klemm and Cornhill at this point in time, but of course, and alongside with me, Ethan, the GM of the Minnesota Timberwolves. So, Ethan, Corn Dog, how you going, man?
Yeah, good, Clem. Good to be back chatting all things NSL again.
Yeah, great. Yeah, get your your lips wet on the the next sort of play experience. Look, man, it's you look like you're rocking a pretty good setup there. You got your sort of your nice sort of layout, nice background. It's works well. And what's this? You got some pretty you got some equipment, mate. What's going on?
Yeah, I bought a mic a couple of weeks back. I've been doing little like video recordings and stuff in the past couple of weeks of like scouting videos and highlight videos and stuff. So
it comes up sweet. It's fucking comes up sweet, yeah.
It's good. It's been good. It's been long, but it's fun. It's been fun.
Yeah, sweet. No, I'm definitely going to be getting a microphone, I reckon. So sweet, man. We're taking it. Taking it big time. So look, we'll jump into it. We obviously always don't have that much time. But yeah, I reckon, look, pretty devastating news with the NBA today with Giannis. Man, I saw that at work today, and it just makes me cringe. And it's just a shame, like so many injuries, and there's been so many things going on. People in the sort of media and players commenting, on the issues with injuries this season, but it's a pretty complex deal, but do you have any thoughts on it?
Yeah, man, I was we're in lockdown at the moment, so I was just sitting downstairs watching it on TV, and it was not good, man. And then like he had a pretty rough first half, and he came out like all guns blazing to start the third quarter, and then that happens, and it was just.
I reckon they would have closed him out. I'll sort of.
Oh yeah, I agree. I reckon they would have taken today, and then. They would have been up 3-1 instead of it being 2-2 kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Credit to the Hawks down trailer. They just put the foot on the gas and just put it away.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, they're a freaking deep team, the Hawks.
Yeah.
Like,
do you know? Have you seen sort of a timeline on when Trey's going to be back, or how?
And all I saw that he was ruled out for Game 4. So
I've heard some stuff. Like I've been listening to some pods and just whatever, and just the type. I haven't actually seen it, like the actual injury. I don't really. I'm not that keen on hunting those out. It's but it was like just like a weird sort of ankle turn or sprain, or it's just one of those sort of
sprain.
Yeah, it's not the common sort of roll, over to the right. So, and sometimes those other, sort of off chance ones are worse, because it's just you're doing damage to, just areas that like it's hard to come back from. So, but who knows? I mean, it kind of sucks. Now I was pretty keen on the Bucks sort of winning, Bucks or Suns, and it was seeming like it was going to be obviously one of them. But with this Clip series, it's the tide's turning a little bit. But
yeah, PG played great last game, but I don't know, man. Like the Suns have to, the Clippers have to win the next 2. Suns don't have to win one more, and they're still without Kawhi, the Clippers. So it's going to be an uphill battle for sure. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I reckon. Suns have sort of, I reckon they could sort of do well up against, PG and whatnot, and it just sort of really depends on CP. What kind of game you get out of CP? Like he started real hot early on in the postseason, and he's just sort of cooled off. I know he's hurt, but that's what we're saying every year, sort of thing. It's just such a shame that he can't. This is another season. He may or may not. You better finish strong or sort of be able to contribute as much as he's more capable of, I guess. So we'd hate to see it another year short, for CP, but
I hope he gets there. I really do. It'd be good to see him get one.
But look, we won't go into too much. We got more important things on the agenda. So everything that's happening in the NSL. We'll just go on sort of 2 topics here. After we sort of run through the playoffs and whatnot. So. First round, what are your sort of takes on the first round? Surprises, things that are going as expected. What are you seeing, Corny?
I think like the only one that really, I've got it up next to me. The only one that really jumps out at me is the Raptors being up 2-1 on Detroit, but then when you take into account the Irving injury, then it just makes sense. Like, PG's just been phenomenal so far in the series as well. So
yeah, I mean, I've got it on good authority as well. I call it like no doubt, sort of thing. Like they've been torching everyone all year with that sort of 2-guard lineup, and after the first 2 wins, I sort of was talking to Jesse, and he'd sort of said that he'd run a lot of tests, or not a lot, but enough to sort of get things going, and he'd done pretty well or had those kind of results against the team with Irving in it, sort of thing. So it's I mean, who knows? Testing that hasn't seemed to really bear out for myself in many ways this season, so I don't have too much trust in that. But yeah, that was a huge surprise. You're right. I kind of think it was a real statement win, even though they're still down from the Pistons with that game 3. It's kind of it's like, oh no, hang on a minute. Like you've still got to worry about what I'm able to do. So credit to Sheed, man. I was counting him out already. I was telling Mauricio, like, your boy's fucked, bro. Like he's done. Jesse's got him. So we'll see. Any other standouts to yourself, or?
I think the rest of them all kind of make sense. The only other one that kind of is like glaring to me is the Mavericks and the Clippers. I thought Clippers would have been like 2-1
exactly
down,
who I was thinking.
not 3-0 down, but
like I kind of. Sorry, mate. What did you say?
I was just saying, apart from that, I think the rest of them, I'm not too surprised at all.
At least I'm sort of kind of surprised that Denver are hanging around with New Orleans, because New Orleans have just looked on a shade under that level that we sort of saw from the top 3-4 teams, and at times were like on runs themselves, or they kind of look like maybe as good as the Spurs, pre couple of trades. But yeah, I'm surprised that and credit to both them guys. They're both veterans. But yeah, you're right. All the rest of the West, pretty much, as expected. I still thought Dallas would be up on the Cliffs, but not 3-0. And look, maybe I wasn't really expecting the Pacers to sort of be up 3-0, but I was kind of going to put down a game like a big cat game and sort of the Wizards sort of at least take one of those. But that's I think Pacers in the long run are the better team. And look, it's no surprise to me, but I understand the surprise for many when saying that Maurincio's up on the Knicks, especially post Middleton trade. Not to mention DJ, they looked, and I had a big part in that, but they looked like they were really dangerous. So going to be coming in with some momentum. But yeah, you're right. First round has been pretty as we thought it would go. I would think yourself.
Yeah, I think it's funny saying like, oh, it's thought how we thought it would go when the 8 seed in the East is up 2-1 on the 1 seed and all that kind of stuff. But
It's kind of like I think the few outliers are right out there, sort of thing.
No, but I think for the most part, like I thought New Orleans and Denver was always going to be a tight series just because
no doubt.
Denver has Curry. Like it's just the numbers that he's put up this year are ridiculous, and he's the reason they are where they are, kind of thing. But the Spurs look great right now. Like they're just crushing it. They're firing on all cylinders, and
exactly.
I think the East makes sense to me. Like it just does.
I mean, on the Denver, like no doubt, I think the Denver New Orleans is going to be probably one of the tightest first round matchups. But it was just I just thought that New Orleans would come in and sort of blow the gates off them, and then maybe Denver might win a couple and sort of be playing, be chasing them. But it's been tit for tat the whole time, sort of thing. And Denver really sort of tapered off quite a bit, in the last sort of few weeks. And look, I know they're suffering some pretty key injuries. So I mean, that's just a credit to what he's going to be able to bring next year. But
I think honestly the biggest surprise of round 1 so far is seeing Bam Adebayo at point guard. But that was something else. I thought, how sometimes when like a game will glitch and you check the box score and it's all the positions out of whack, and you're like, I thought it was like that for a second. I'm like, no, wait a minute, he was actually running point. And I was just like, that fucking shit, like crafty bastard. But that might have been like with how game 3 went. I'm sure that he tested PG there multiple times, and then for the most part was getting the better of the Raps, and that's why he would have gone with that change. You don't just throw Bam at point, just cause, sort of thing. Yeah, definitely.
And it worked. PG still went off, but it just sort of limited them a fair bit, I think. And yeah, maybe it's kind of one of those things like you just let if the Raps are going to run PG at point, which I sort of had mentioned to Jesse is has a shelf life. Speaking from someone who tried his hardest to get LeBron at point to work last year. It's great, but it just has a ceiling sort of thing. And it's if you're able to sort of just give PG everything, then he's not a willing passer. So it's like, oh, who wins? So that'll be really interesting. Yeah,
Game 4 is going on as we're recording right now, so it'll be interesting to see how that one.
Yeah, what are the scores?
It's 16-11 at the moment to the Raptors.
Oh man, we couldn't have timed this better. I had no idea. Like,
that one.
And close game with Charlotte and Philly. That last one as well. That was sort of that was interesting. Because Philly came back and blew them out like in game 2, 116-98. So
it's by like 30 points.
Yeah. Oh, well, what do you without obviously a lot of games to be played in the first round, but if we can sort of project and/or just have a bit of fun with what we think we might be seeing in the second round. What are you looking forward to most?
I think one of the series.
What's that?
Yeah, one of the series is pretty much set in stone, which is looks like it's going to be Portland and Dallas, and I personally can't wait for that. I think that's going to be a great series. There's really no news on Kawhi as well. So
yeah, true. But we did just see Westy drop.
There hasn't been much news on Kawhi, so it'll be interesting to see how if Westy and Harden can get it done versus Zinger, KD, Schroeder, who put up 40 points the other day or whatever it was again, and just stupid numbers. I don't even know who I'd take as a favorite in that series right now.
Well, it really is.
Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, because Houston, I was really bullish on Houston just because I thought Vitt had it figured out, and just because all the struggles I had personally just with sort of testing against him for the play-in, which ultimately obviously didn't happen. But I really struggled to sort of be able to contain him. And my team's by no stretch a defensive unit, but I think Kawhi is just and it's to be expected, but you just never really sort of know like Kawhi's impact in game on both ends of the floor. Obviously, okay, if you have another guy coming in dropping 25 a game, shooting blah blah blah, that's going to be a net positive. Sorry, but he obviously just shores up the defense just massively. And you sort of see Houston drop 129 points on the best defense in the league. I think they're best or second best. So
I think
go on.
Sorry, keep going. No, you go.
Oh well, I mean, I'm going to be expecting to see Kawhi right up there in terms of defensive player of the year and all defensive team, obviously. But I sort of because you see Westy drop 50 points, he's capable. But Dallas are also just putting up some serious numbers on a I think Clips are top 5 or close to it in terms of defense. So they've got a lot of firepower as well, and if Kawhi isn't there to sort of make those stops and to sort of take out a Durant or a Schroeder or whoever, then look, it might be a lot closer than what we think. He might blow them out full zip, but it's within sort of 8 to 10 points, which that in itself is fucking well done, sort of thing. So, but that'll be super.
Going back to when Joel made the Westbrook trade, this is the kind of reason why you make that trade. You lose a guy, you still have 2 absolute all-stars, especially in 2K, absolute all-stars who can still take on a Dallas with Kevin Durant and all that kind of stuff. Whereas if Kawhi was out and he had the previous team, DeJounte Murray and Rudy Gay and a couple of picks, what's that going to do versus Kevin Durant and Schroeder and Porzingis and all that? You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's just such an and it's just such an asset in terms of overall value. So he can essentially sell one of them off for a complete retool, in one trade, pretty much. And like you mentioned, and he's got picks.
Yeah, definitely.
So he's a wizard, man. Let's be real. But it's he can move Westy. Someone will take him. Doesn't matter how much he's making. And yeah, he'll just be able to sort of get like another really nice complementary piece. It's a bit younger, and then he'll just sort of make the slow rebuild while riding the back of Harden and Kawhi still. Yeah, go for another sort of run in, I would expect, in another sort of few years, and have another sort of peak window of 2 to 3 years, and then rinse and repeat, man. That's what he does, fucking on the reg. So, yeah, he's in a good spot, and that's about enough time that I want to spend on JMac. So, yeah, like, or what other standouts or things you're looking forward to in maybe out east for the round 2?
Yeah, I think like it's going to be tough for the Wizards to come back from 3-0 down. So I think it's pretty much a lock that the Pacers move on in that one. And then after today's game with the Raptors and Pistons, we might have a better idea of who's coming out of that series or not. Yeah. But
it's just a terrible matchup for the Wizards as well. You got Embiid, like he's probably going to get some serious consideration for Defensive Player of the Year. Yeah. I mean, it's just a bad matchup. If they still had Damon Rose and all those sort of small guards, then yeah, you'd probably be picking Wizards. Thinking back to those sort of runs he had early on with Dame over Cat, but yeah, had his reasons. So that's pretty much a lock. Yeah.
And the other two series are very much still up in the air. They're both 2-1 at the moment, so there's still a lot of games to go there.
Yes, statement win for Craig and the Hornets there over Benny after a pretty big swing from Benny in the second game, beating him quite convincingly and sort of keeping him under 100 points, which is pretty impressive. Like Charlotte's have got a lot of length, but then Philly got LeBron, so but it is what it is. But I mean, Charlotte sort of was averaging 117 points a game this season, so which is only really behind the big three out west. So that was impressive. But yeah, we all know about Philly and their defense. And then you're right with the other series there. Smokey and Mauricio, another two old heads going at it, and that's going to be super interesting. But yeah. Let's see. And but yeah, I mean, but out of that series there, who are you picking to come out of the New York and Bull series?
Man, I really don't know. Like, Mauricio looked real tough in the first two games, and then Smokey comes back in game 3 and wins by 25. Like, maybe he's found something. Like, Valanciunas was an absolute monster in that game, but I really don't know. I wouldn't be surprised to see either of them come out at this stage.
It seems pretty like they're both teams that are keen on, or they're prone to going a lot of sort of swings. Like, they just got a lot of impact players that could sort of impact the game on from all positions. So I would imagine any tweaks that either team sort of makes, like they're going to present matchup problems across the board, sort of thing. It's just really who goes off that given day. Because I guess. Yeah, there's the whole AD thing being played at the 2, which is another sort of crazy one. Not so crazy, not like Bam at point and crazy, but it's he's sort of doing his job. But I guess if you can sort of, he's still going to be putting up limited numbers at the 2. Like, he's going to be a great defensive option, but he's I think the last game he put up like 22 and like 6 boards or something like that. Like, but they still look good out there. So Mauricio might have just found like a great balance with his team. So yeah, that'll be super interesting. But I can't really pick who's going to be winning out of those two. Whoever wins out of those,
they're both real 2K heads as well. So they're definitely going to be.
And they'll think outside the box. They'll be like, fuck it, I'll run fucking Valanciunas and DJ. Fuck it, I'll run Ingram at point, or some shit. And they just both put in the time, so it's just about reps sort of thing. But I'd be happy with anyone coming out of both those series and coming into the round 2 matchup. That'll be killer. I reckon.
Yeah, definitely.
Look, if we go, who do you reckon's winning out of the Raps and Pistons series?
I think I'd have to take the Raptors at the moment. They've just looked like their 2 wins have been more impressive than the Pistons win, I think, so far.
Yeah, and I'm kind of putting game 3 down to either a complete 2K wizardry move from Sheed. Maybe even, I haven't actually spoken to Jesse on whether he's made changes or whatnot. I don't think he'd be silly enough to make any changes, but you never know.
The Raptors are up 13 at the moment, first quarter. So
That's it. So it's like it might have just been a bit of an anomaly. It might just be a coin flip from here on out with the settings that sort of Sheed's found, and then just I would only see any changes on Jesse's side of things if Detroit was to win this game or to pull this one out, and then made like a really sort of convincing statement within in game to go up 3-2 or something like that, and then maybe sort of you might get Jesse sort of getting a bit desperate. But yeah, I think he remains unchanged, and obviously the Pistons will I don't see why they wouldn't keep running with Ban at point unless it just proves not to be that good, I guess. But who knows? And yeah, so they're pretty much going to be facing in Pacers. So yeah, that'll be interesting. Embiid's going to be having a hard time with sort of the big man options that Pistons are going to be running, and same with Toronto. So that's I might even favour either one of those two guys going up against the Pacers, but who knows? The Pacers look pretty good. So
it's definitely going to be interesting to see how the next round or the end of this round plays out into the next round.
That's it. But we won't go into too much. We'll maybe next pod we're doing hopefully all the first rounds have completed. Maybe we're a couple of games into the second round. But we'll touch on a couple of subjects. We did mention your big board bonanza that you might want to drop on us and give us a bit of a lowdown. But what was it that you wanted to go into?
I just wanted to touch on some draft stuff. Like the draft is obviously what I love, and I love scouting and all that kind of stuff and looking over all the rookies and stuff. So I kind of just went through like the worst records in the league from like the Lakers and myself through to number 14, like projected kind of picks and stuff. And kind of saw like tried to gauge who I think they would take in that position and what might suit the team.
Sure.
And so yeah, basically the order we've got is Lakers, Timberwolves, Jazz, Hawks, Celtics, Bucks, Cavs, Wolves again, Orlando, Hawks, Boston again, Denver, Clippers, and the Warriors.
You so like saying that 14 Wolves again picked, didn't you? Just Wolves again.
Yeah, that's pretty. Yeah, I had to give up Kobe White to get that pick, so it's a bit of a price, but yeah, I'm confident that I can find something in that range that I'll be able to get. And if it jumps up, then I'm in even more luck, So
yeah, look, I really like Kobe White, but he's a dime a dozen. I think hit that type of player sort of thing. So yeah, you're better off just take another shot at it. So
yeah, so I'm definitely looking forward to the lottery night, as I know a lot of the other GMs are. But yeah. So obviously, like number one with the Lakers, like projected number one pick, they're going to take Cade Cunningham, like.
So much hype.
Yeah, like he is really, really good, like super talented. Like I think like outside of Luka and Zion and like maybe Tatum and Giannis, like I'd pretty much trade anyone for Cade at this stage. Really? Like I think he's that level of a prospect. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, like he's 3-level scorer, elite 3-point shooter, great defender.
How old is he?
Plays. Sorry?
How old is he?
He's only 20, like 19.
Oh, yeah. Right. Cool.
Yeah, so he's super young, and he's just like he's so polished already coming into the league, and I think
we're going to see that a lot, man. We're going to see that.
Yeah, like, he's so good. Like 3-point shooting, like off the dribble, catch and shoot scenarios, like everything. He's got it all. Like
that's every kid coming out, like through AAU now and stuff. Like it's just they're all. I watch all those highlights and they're all just got like perfect fucking form. Like they're like fucking 12. Yeah, I'm like, what the fuck? Like just pulling up from like 30 feet out, just like NBA range. Like no worries. Like it's crazy, man.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think I think he's gonna be really good, really quick too. So the Lakers are gonna get a good one if they end up getting the number one pick there.
Yeah, I think they'd have to go there because you sort of a lot of years, the top sort of picks generally, they're an asset that translates both from the NBA and to sort of 2K, and you're not really sort of going to focus too much on how they may play in game in terms of if you had a sort of high lottery pick and whatnot. So, but Cunningham's the type of guy that it's just a no-brainer sort of thing, and with like Mowgli, like he's a real talent, but I just think his game will never translate in a way that you would be going guns glory at him as if he's going to be like your franchise guy, like giving you that production in game. It'd be a great get for a team if they need it. But you see a lot of those sort of teams that you've sort of mentioned there. Yeah, I mean, I guess Boston would be more than happy to have him, and Milwaukee, because they're really sort of hurting for some bigs. So it is what it is. I mean, Cunningham's a sure lock for number one, and I know you'll be quite eager to see if you might get your boy. So
if I land number one, I'll be over the moon. That's for sure.
yeah, that's it. What do you? Continue.
Number two, I had my team, the Wolves, taking Mobley, just because I think of the remaining four prospects, he's probably the one that'll fit best with my team at the moment. Right. He's a great defender on the perimeter and inside. He's shown potential to stretch the floor as well. He elite shot blocker. Like he's just just very skinny. That's the only downside really. Right. I think
I think he's going at the rim sort of like blocker, or is he sort of like a help defender sort of thing? Like or
both.
Yeah,
like really good at both. Like he's got like great defensive instincts. It's
right.
Yeah, he's going to be good as well.
But has his offensive game, is he a non-factor offensively, or he can hold his own?
No,
or like...
he can hold his own. He can he's shown that he can stretch the floor, like knock it down from three. He's got a little bit of a mid-range and post-game. He can score at the cup real easily as well. But he's
never handle at all. Like, does he have any sort of?
Yeah, he's got a pretty decent handle for his size. So
he's like a rich man's Turner, like what everyone thought Turner was going to be like after his first sort of season, sort of thing. Like,
I think the only thing that's going to let him down is his weight. Like, if he just puts on size when he gets into the NBA strength and conditioning side of things, like he'll be really good. But at the moment, he's just a bit slight.
I mean, it's better than them coming in, sort of bigger or out of shape sort of thing, and then just being issues, sort of like injury wise, just with the workload that 82 games and is pretty grueling on the body. So, but I mean, whatever team he goes to in the NBA, like they're not going to really have any other option really to not just run him out there. And
definitely,
he'll get pushed around, but he'll be all right. So if you got two, you would just 100% go him, like that. You didn't even have a third option, like a second option behind him.
I think I would either take him or look to trade back or trade the pick overall, just because I do have Stewart and Bryant, obviously. Yeah. So they're like, obviously, like Stewart's had a really good year last year, and Bryant is coming off an injury, but he is still like a decent big. But then like Suggs, I've already got LaMelo. Green, like he would be good, but he's a little bit undersized. Kuminga would probably be the best fit with my team, but
because you were high on him for a bit, like you were like saying like maybe I heard it wrong or something, but I think you were sort of saying like I might even sort of consider taking him one if I got him,
I think like early on in the G League he showed out really quick, but then he fizzled out a bit towards like the mid to the end of the G League bubble kind of experiment. But I still think he is the best fit for my team. But I wouldn't take him at number two because I know that I could get him at 4 or 5, maybe even 6, depending on how people value their prospects. So I think it would be a trade back scenario or a trade out of the.
Well, because you got one and projected. Let's say you got 2, and what was you were 8 for the other pick, or
8.
Yeah, you can trade down on 2 for like, and then even sort of use one of those with 8 to then also get, you know what I mean? Like you get, see if you get like a,
there's a couple of options there for sure.
Yeah, that'd be fucking interesting, man. So
go on. Number 3, there was the Jazz, and I think like looking at their depth chart, the best prospect for them would be Jalen Suggs. They need a point guard, and he's like. He is the best point guard in the draft, in my opinion. He's a good playmaker, good defender. He's got a great motor. He out hustles everyone. Like he's just that kind of player. He's almost like a taller Kyle Lowry kind of thing. Like he just makes winning plays and all that kind of stuff. Like he's that kind of player. Like,
just a killer, just a savage.
Yeah,
he's probably got that. He's probably got that Mamba really mentality more than anyone, sort of thing. Like in this class.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. He's definitely a winning player, and I think he'd fit well with like what the Jazz got at the moment. So
yeah,
that's where I see them kind of going if they land number 3.
Makes sense.
Next was the Atlanta Hawks, and I've got them taking Jalen Green. I think they would prefer having Suggs if he was there at 4 because I think they need a point guard more than anything else, more than the wing guys, because they already have like Reddish and Hunter and whoever else they've got, like Langford and stuff like that. I know that he's not a great player, but they've been playing him and he's been doing all right in 2K. So, but yeah, Jalen Green, like unreal athleticism. Like he's probably going to be the best like pure scorer from this draft class as well.
So is he NBA ready, or he's got good promise sort of thing? Like
I wouldn't say he's all the way NBA ready because he is quite slight as well. Like he's quite skinny. Yeah, he's put on some weight and stuff. But in terms of like potential as a scorer and all that kind of stuff, I think he's definitely up there with like the best scorer in the class. A lot of people have him comped to like Zach LaVine and stuff like that. So
okay.
Yeah, I think he's he's going to be quite good.
That kind of player, you know, despite of what issues you might have with him. But
like the athleticism, like very Zach LaVine, like he's got insane bounce and stuff. And then like the scorer that Zach LaVine is now is kind of like the way to project Jalen Green to go as well.
Well, he kind of sounds like a sort of a pretty typical NSL sort of candidate that would win the Rookie of the Year or something, depending on where they went. You know, because it's just the best sort of 2K DNA friendly rookie that's coming in is generally the one, because they always buff the rookies up with benefit of the doubt. So if they've got a pretty good skill set or tendencies set up, which maybe
2K love the media guys too, the ones who are the media darlings and all that kind of stuff. And Jalen Green's been on highlight reels for freaking 3-4 years now. You know what I mean? Like he's been
so they'd have some department of fucking like college fucking twats, they're like, no, he's got fucking 87, 3-point, like, have you seen him? You're like, okay.
Yeah, he's gonna be one of those ones.
Yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous. But and then 5. Who's at 5?
5 was the Celtics at this stage, and I've got them taking Kuminga. This would be nuts. Like if they ended up, like if they stayed at 5 and landed Kuminga, I think that's going to be insane, because like you think about Tatum and Kuminga on the wings, and you've got Kevin Porter Jr. playing the 2, Garland at the 1, and then Wiseman and Moses Brown at the 5. Like it's just, they're going to be ready to run soon. I think
they've impressed. Toby's impressed me. I'll openly admit that I was harsh, tongue in cheek, but harsh on him sort of with a couple of his sort of moves and just even sort of question how active he was, but it was just he's just does his own thing, and he's sort of got what he gets out of it is sort of developing guys and like just much like yourself, keeping tabs on sort of those young dudes and which I'd have a pretty decent idea of, but nothing to the extent that you guys would, and you'd sort of just see a guy that's got game that's going to translate. Like sometimes you just see those young players and you just know straight away.
My missus will go to bed and then I'll freaking chuck YouTube up on the TV and I'll be watching like college highlights all night until like 2 a.m. and stuff. I love it. I love watching like all the young guys coming up and stuff.
I have to try real hard to limit it. Like I just have to keep it for when the girls go to sleep, because then otherwise I just get sucked into it. I could just sort of, because I'll just start going down a YouTube rabbit hole and just and then it's like 2 hours later, I'm watching LeBron's fucking 61 point game and and all these just 35 plays or some crap like that. It's nuts. I've got to help myself not get so tied into it. But so the top 5. I mean, it's we could probably do a whole pod, I guess, on the on just the draft side of things. We might touch on more depth. When we actually know the actual lottery results. So
lottery order,
that's the one. And then we can really sort of do a deep dive, I guess. But I'll being careful of time, of course, I'll go into just a few or a segment. Look, it's just general free agent tips, smooth case tips for free agency this next off season. It's a long way away, but much like yourself, who can't wait for the outcome of the lottery / draft. I'm going to be looking forward to free agency, because really that's the only option I got. But look, I'll sort of throw it to you, I guess, and just sort of, what are you sort of feeling with free agency, or have you got things sussed, or got any questions, or What do you reckon?
I've been having a look. I'm a bit up in the air with what I'm going to do. I do have like if Rodney Hood gets guaranteed, that kind of throws me into a shit fight because he's getting guaranteed at 10 million. I hope he doesn't, but
no, there's no way.
We'll see.
Man.
Yeah, I don't think he does, but I do have a lot of guys in the books already. But I do have a fair bit of cap space. But yeah, I've got like things like Kuz's extension kicking in next year and all that kind of stuff. So I have to have a real good look at it. But I have a couple of guys that I am interested in, and depending on who I end up getting in the draft will determine like what kind of holes I have and what I need to address in free agency. So,
I mean, you're pretty sussed across the board. Anyway, positional wise, so you've done well. You've got great depth, and yeah, so there's not really many sort of holes with your team. Obviously, we've already sort of addressed that you're well aware of just having that sort of star type big. Yeah, I know you got Bryant, you got Stewart, but they're just a bit small in the front court, and that's really the only position I see you needing to really fortify, but or maybe bench wing depth, I guess. But yeah, you'll have a bit of salary coming off the books. I mean, look, with Hood, whenever you see those partial guaranteed and non-guaranteed deals, they're essentially just like a fucking hack way of teams getting essentially a team option, but then they can just pay them out, and just not take the cap hit, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, they really have to like outperform what their expectations are, and from the players side of things, they're like, look, we'll offer you 20 million over 2 years, but it's not really guaranteed. So play good and we'll fucking give you, 4 mil more than what you're actually worth. But I think it's not the end of the world if he does get guaranteed, because it's a good trade chip. He's still going to have some sort of 2K game that translates, just having size and being on the wing and decent bench scorer, and he's used, it can be used to your advantage, I think, as a bit of a salary filler. But yeah, but your team's you got a lot of positions that are locked up, and you don't have to be worrying about splashing too much on
the books. And having Porter and Reddick coming off the books is kind of big. That's 32 million off the books straight away. So
yeah, that'd be tasty. I think one thing I'd sort of touch on with free agency, which just generally sort of speaking, in the past, and those who sort of put in years in the NLL would know that obviously with the sort of we get the cap hit from certain players that are expiring or a free agent this coming off season, and it would be 150 times the total salary of what they got in their last contract year. So it was made that way just so teams are taking advantage in the short story form. Teams are taking advantage because they'd be right up there as contenders, they'd be winning, and then they just would shed all this salary and then just go bananas again. And a winning record in the past was just such a game changer. And it just, they just beat everyone out of it, sort of thing. So that was pretty much the major or the most impactful factor in the algorithm before with free agency. But that's why we made the changes, because it's sort of it doesn't enable you to do that, sort of thing. If you want to take that massive amount of risk with just dropping all these guys and having to fill in 8 roster spots, it's just really not going to work that way, like you're going to be really struggling. So yeah, in the past, teams would sort of just bite the bullet and just keep guys around even though they got a massive cap hold. We'll take, for example, say Detroit. They got Lowry on 30 million. It's really up in the air on what the Raptors are going to do in the NBA. They might full blow it up, or they might go for another sort of run, or just sort of continue. So you really don't know. Maybe Lowry stays, and then in the past, Detroit just would have gone, oh, fuck it, I'll just double down on Lowry, keep him around. I can't do shit in free agency, and I'll just pay him because I got bird years. But they'd just be fucked in the ass, like in terms of salary, sort of thing. So yeah. Whereas now, like I think I wouldn't be surprised if she just drops Lowry, sort of thing. And because there's no more first dibs like on the retaining team. So there's really no reason for you to be keeping guys on your books unless you sort of had the bird years and wanted to use to your advantage that you can sign them to whatever you'd like, irrelevant of your cap situation. That's the only reason. And you just got to realize that if that's the only reason to be doing so, then you're going to be investing a fair amount of your points to ensure that they stay, sort of thing. So And if they're not worth the risk, then obviously they're going to be dropped. So that's just general things you got to sort of think about in free agency with the rule change and everything. So, but yeah, I mean, with I used all over the rule changes and everything because I still feel like people aren't.
Yeah, I like going into last year's free agency. I was very unsure of the process. Obviously, it was my first year in the NSL. I wasn't in the NLL. So it was very new to me. But going through last year, I think it makes a lot more sense now than it did then. And I think like this year, I don't think I will be that active in free agency because I already do have a lot of positions locked up and I have 3 draft picks coming in this year. So I don't even know how many roster spots I'm going to have. But nonetheless, like it'll be good to see how it all plays out so I can better get my head around it. But
yeah. I think going through it for the first year and the NSL helped a lot of people and everything. And it's not so much that I feel like no one's got a grasp on how it works, but they're just it's still going to take some time for people to get used to how they're able to I guess take advantage of certain things to just get the best out of free agency. Much the same as the elite teams for so long did in NLL because that league was around for 20 years. So the teams that were sort of been there for the longest were the ones that sort of were really able to manipulate. But it was just sort of in a non-realistic way. So I think I would hope that it sort of balances out in the long run. And we just sort of, my intention was always like to sort of see like any team in the league if they sort of make the right moves or a few things fall their way and they're active and everything, you could see them bounce back in a matter of years and have another, pretty decent window of sort of contending and sort of winning games and not just be buried for fucking 10 years, sort of thing. Because we saw that a lot in the NLL. So, but look, I'll just launch into the top 5 or free agency tips. And I'll go through each one. And if I'll give you a bit of, if you want to sort of say anything or ask anything or have any thoughts on each one, let me know. I'll let you jump in, and then we'll probably finish up, I think. So, but yeah, look, these are the top 5 tips. So, Smooth K's top 5 picks. The top 5 tips. Sorry. Number 5 is to have a plan A and a plan B and a plan C, plan D, plan E. I just think you just have to have multiple scenarios that are sort of running through your head, or you have it written down, you have notes, research on sort of, what certain players are doing, keep up to date with sort of, the status of players in the NBA. And and just sort of gauge like your salary situation. If this was to go that way or that was to go that way, I sort of tend to feel that I see a lot of guys panicking on free agency. Or they'll get one guy sniped, and then you just see really obvious sort of like desperation moves, or sort of maybe even wrong moves with trying to, I guess, spread their resources, put a little bit of points on one guy, a little bit of points on one guy, and they just lose out on all of them, sort of thing, because they're now sort of I guess panicking and wanting to sort of just get as many good guys as they can because they lost out on that one target and they had no other plans at all. So. Yeah, you just gotta have multiple plans and just sort of be able to run with it, and just be aware that a lot of things can happen on the day that are going to ultimately sort of change and drastically change, how free agency could go. So you got to be aware of other teams as well. Any thoughts on that? Do you go in with a plan, mate, with free agency?
Last year, my plan was just to bring back Jordan Clarkson and try and land a big man, which I did with Harry Giles, who I didn't even keep around the whole year.
Yeah.
But I think like after, like I was saying before, like after the draft and stuff, I'll have a better idea of what positions I need filled, and I can see, like have a look around the league, like who's coming up, how much they're expected to get paid, who I can realistically get without, like, because I'm obviously gonna have a pretty shit team leveler with my record and stuff like that. So like it might not even be realistic for me to put any points on anyone because I'm probably pretty unlikely to get anyone with how bad my team level is.
With the young teams, you're not going to obviously have as much even if you were more than willing to have a big hand in free agency, just because, you're not wanting to sort of mess up your books. you've already got a whole bunch of sort of just developing talent. And there's nothing really out there that's going to be worth it. You drop any of those guys, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe pick up a few dudes just for the sole purpose of trading, which is always a smart option. But yeah, I mean, there's anything that sort of you might be doing is just sort of you go after that one big target, and then that's your whole ward blown, and then you've done well, like sort of thing. So it's going to be quite simple for a lot of teams, and not too much thought's going to be going into it. But yeah, we won't go off on a tangent. We'll keep going. Number 4, make a list, check it twice. Have your free agency targets, have their salary or expected salary for. Even if you like, it's a little bit early to be knowing salaries at this point in time for free agents. So, but look, if you're able to look around the league and see what they're able to produce and what they're doing for certain teams, some guys are still in the playoffs now. You know, there's going to be some hype, or you know, there's going to be some buzz behind a guy, and he's going to get X amount. Yeah, like you couldn't be that far off. So if you're sort of running off, just managing your salary well, and then just, utilizing your MLE deal when it's most appropriate. And just not sort of, I guess, tying yourself up into or pigeonholing yourself down a path that you sort of you're 1 foot in, 1 foot out sort of thing. So but yeah, make lists. It always helps me because free agency day is pretty stressful, and shit goes out the window.
And it goes so quick too. Like it's just
it's a blur.
Yeah.
I feel like I've gone on a massive run, after it, like, and I'll be like, all right, done. Yeah. And it's like, all right, so you're done with your fucking stupid 3-hour long draft thing, whatever. I'm like, yeah, cool. Yeah, we'll still make that fucking lunch, don't we? So like last free agency, man, we were at the zoo. I took all the girls to the zoo at this open range zoo, Werribee Zoo. And we're like on safari, and I'm like got my headphones in, and I'm like looking at Discord, and I'm like, babe, I'm sorry. Like, I'm just going to be checked out for today. Like it is what it is. And and I was just like I was like, all this shit was going on, like animals fucking going off, and I'm like, who was it? Who was just picked for it? And I'm like, fuck going on? Oh, it was madness, man. So
it sounds like it would have been full on for sure,
dude. I'm booking the date. Like, admittedly, I was quite lazy with remembering to let the missus know that when it was on. So that's my fault. I'll book that date in the calendar well in advance. But yeah, moving on. You got to take risks. Got to risk it to get the biscuit. So, if you sort of identify a guy that you really need, you see a hole, you're like, fuck, I have no backup point guard whatsoever. Like, you're gonna have to pick up some sort of quality guy. You just got to get him. Like, there's no like, oh, I think people get in their sort of own head thinking like, oh, well, I'll only put this amount on him, and like, if I lose out on him, so they're already expecting to lose that guy. Like, don't lose that guy. Like, just fucking get him. Like, sort of thing. Like, the rest can figure itself out. Like, it's you really, because in the end, it's great to have depth, but there's still guys in the playoffs at the moment that are doing well when they've only got 6 or 7 guys. So it's star power in the end, and it's it's bought out. This engine more so than others, but and that sort of leads into, I guess, conveniently, number 2. What would you do? Myself personally, I'll look around the league and sort of just think, where would I go with this sort of team? Generally speaking, you'd imagine you couldn't be that way off with most of the teams. Like, it's pretty easy to sort of see what they might be looking at doing. And you can't always tell. They might completely go left field of what you might think, but each their own. But if you start seeing them dropping certain guys or signing certain guys or making movements that suggest like, oh, okay, now it's more obvious sort of thing, then because you've done the research, most likely he's dropping that guy because why? It wouldn't make any sense for that guy to come back, sort of thing. Or salary restrictions, whatever it means. Even if it's just having a list of the salary open on free agency day and just sort of seeing sort of as it changes and sort of what position guys are in, then you just sort of know, like, you sort of know what kind of competition you're going to get on certain guys, and it might just be that you're able to sort of pinpoint guys that you think aren't going to get a lot of attention. So it's you just got to put yourself in their shoes and just do your research. I'm not going to rattle on about that one. That's number 1. I always put a whole lot of effort into free agency, and I have multiple notes, and I make it clear and concise. And on free agency day, when everything's going mental, I update it as I sort of go, just keep a bit of a running tab, just on teams, their position, even just knowing, okay, they got their wing, that was the obvious hole in their team. They're not going to be going after any more wings. 4 or 5 teams go after those sort of, get their guy, then that, the sort of bench depth or 7th to 9th men are going to be quite easily sort of gettable. So but I won't give away all my secrets. I've got to keep some close to the chest, and we'll finish up very shortly. Just with the last 3, because I know I rattled them off. Any thoughts on that, or questions?
No, I think it all makes sense. Like we said before, like free agency gets so chaotic, and as long as you've done your research and you're well prepared, then you can kind of keep track of it a lot easier, because like it is so full on and so much is happening and stuff's going so fast. Like if you haven't done the research, you don't know who could be available to you. And I think that showed like with last year as well. Like a lot of guys were getting quality guys for no points and all that kind of stuff. Like I'm pretty sure Ladder's got a Barker for like no points and like just stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like it's, as long as you do your research, it looks like it'll pay off for sure.
Oh, like because I got Rondo. I put 99 on Rondo, and that was an example, provided before. Like I needed a point guard. I didn't even have a starting point guard, so I'm like, okay, he's the best point guard out there, sort of thing. So I just put 99 on him, just because I sort of knew that I could sort of do well with those later dudes, and then I think I put the rest of my points on Teague just to double down on point guard depth, because I had everything else pretty much, and then like I just fucking picked up like another 7 dudes, sort of thing. And like kept Noel with no points, because I just knew that he came late in the day, and I knew that sort of a lot of guys who were glaringly obvious to their only deficiency being like a legitimate big had gotten their bigs, sort of thing. So I just knew I had Burgess on him. He got paid 10 million or whatever it was. I'm like, there's 3 teams that have got even enough space anymore to even sign that bloke. And I'm like, and they've already got either franchise type bigs or they're already full, like because they've like picked up all their guys. That's another thing. I don't think people will sort of even just take note of how many roster spots teams have got. You might be surprised that there's really only 3 teams that have got like a spot left for the last 20 guys or whatever. That's prime time to sort of get those 2 sort of bench dudes for contenders or sort of trade assets for the rebuilding teams or the teams on the way up. So.
Definitely.
But you're right. It is hectic. You have to have like all these screens up as well. Like I'm like fucking buzzing through. I'm probably going to be putting my. I'll be real. I'm probably going to be putting my hand up to be running the free agency, but I wouldn't mind whatsoever not taking another year off. So
definitely.
But we'll see. But look, I think we went on pretty late. The missus is messaging me now. Going crazy. So.
It's halftime in the Raptors Pistons game at the moment. The Raptors are up 66-43, so pretty big lead at the half. Yeah.
Wow, who's playing good?
PG. PG's got 28 at the half.
Shit. So he's getting everything again.
Yeah.
Wow. Shit, Jesse, man. Fucking hell. Crazy, man. I look forward to the next pod. We'll have some definite answers on the round 1 matchups, I think, and we can really sort of dive into round 2 and some other things that are going on in the league, NSL and NBA wise. So, any parting thoughts, or are you good to go? C-Dog?
Good to go, man. It's been good.
It's been great, man. Nice, Mark. I'll be. I'm quite jealous. I'll be getting one pretty soon, I think, and we'll take this pod to the next level. But. Episode 2, Klemm and Cornhill. We'll sign out for now. Thanks, lads. Cheers, Ethan.
Catch you, bro. Good chat.
Man. Bye.